You're listening to the OMG hour.
Welcome, everybody. It is episode number 300, and I went almost back 100 episodes to go.
That's a big drop back.
That's a big, yeah. Anyway, sorry, episode 370 of the OMG Hour. I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane.
And I am Tico, Mr. Second Place.
Hello, Tico.
Hello, Sean.
It's been a week. But we're going to record a show as normal. It's so hard not to comment on things, Tico, but it's not our place to do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, this show is a different landscape. So, we're happy to chat about it, offline with anybody who would like to message us on our social medias. We're happy to discuss, but we're just going to move forward with the show as normal right now.
As normal as we can, I guess. Yeah. I guess. So I've actually been, continuing along with my Animal Crossing, village, town, city, island. Man, dude, my brain is like mush this week.
Yeah, my brain's always like mush. So,
well, it's just honestly, it's mush due to everything that's going on. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's kind of like. It's hard not to. It's hard not to get a little overloaded right now.
Yeah.
But we are, you know what? I'm going to say we are at a very pivotal moment in history. And, I hope something good comes from all of this. I really do.
Yeah.
I hope there is a huge change in how our world works.
It is time for that to happen. And I'm really hopeful that we do see some positive change come from this.
Agreed. And okay, thank you for at least letting me get something out because it's too hard. It's too hard not to in times like this, the way the world is, it's hard not to just mention, even on a show like ours, is not a political show, but it's hard not to comment on stuff like this when it's so important.
Yeah.
But you're right. We're a gaming show, and that's what we want to just continue along with that. So, other than my Animal Crossing, I've actually went back to play The Last of Us, the original one. So, I've got The Last of Us Remastered. I've been playing on PS4. I actually thought I had this digitally. I received this as a review way back in the early days when it was launched. Essentially, I think it was almost a launch title for PS4. And, we reviewed it way back then. And I decided to go back and play it because The Last of Us 2 is coming out in just a short couple of weeks, if not end of next week, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to go back in and just kind of play the story because I don't want to dive into The Last of Us 2 without remembering what happened in the first one. And I do remember in the first one, I very distinctly remember a very specific part in the game. There was basically a boss fight in this garage, and then Joel and Ellie basically push a pickup truck out of the garage and drive away. And that was like in a cutscene. And that is where I stopped playing the game originally. And I was thinking, in my mind, that felt very early in the game. But Tico, I've been playing the game now for gotta be, 4 or 5 hours or so. And I still haven't reached the part where I played originally. And I'm like, I don't remember anything I'm playing. Besides, there was a couple of scenes I specifically remembered with the lurker. I can't remember what they're called, not lurkers. But anyway, the clickers. The clickers. I specifically remember a couple of scenes, but all of the other scenes, I'm like, I don't remember this at all. At all. Like I never played the game. It's so weird.
How is it going back to an almost PS4 launch title, control-wise, feel-wise?
A little, control-wise, it feels too loose to me, especially when you're doing stealth. I just feel like it needs more, like, cover lock-on type thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It feels very, I don't know, the controls feel squishy. And I'm really hoping the new one feels more solid, especially when you're doing stealth, because a lot of this game can be played in stealth, which I enjoy. And I remember the first time playing this game. Of course, I played it on PS3 originally, and I hated PS3. Everyone knows that. I hated the controls. It was at a time when I didn't know the buttons on the PS3, right? So press triangle, I'm like, oh crap, which one's strike? Now it's like, it's so ingrained in my head. I'm actually thankful that I play so much PS4 this generation, because now both PS4 and Xbox controls are so ingrained in my head that I don't know
where the buttons are.
I don't even have to think where the buttons are, right? Yeah. So I am finding that playing the game, I feel, is actually easier than the first time I tried to play, simply because I know the controls. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not looking at the controller, the hunting for a button when it says like, oh, press this button, and you're like, oh yeah, it's particularly if it says press triangle, you're like, okay, that would be where Y is on the Xbox controller. And I find that too when I'm playing a PS4, because I am, obviously I play a lot more Xbox. So when that comes up, I do have to look at the at the buttons, because it's like, okay, and sometimes it's just for a particular move, it's ingrained in you. Like it's like, to climb up is always going to be this button, or like to crouch on most games is always going to be B on the Xbox and circle on the PlayStation. Right, exactly. Like it's built into how you play, but like when you see the prompt come up on the thing, it causes you to think about it. Exactly. So now in my mind, the circle is the B button to me. Like circle and B are synonymous. Triangle and Y are synonymous. The X and the A button are synonymous with each other. Like, in my mind, they're just the same button now. X is square. Oh, so there's an X button. That's the problem. The cross X button. It's actually the cross button. A is square. You're right. On the PS4, it's actually called the cross button. Okay. It's an X. I call it the X button, but I believe it's referred to as the cross button, because they're all shapes, not letters. Right. So yeah, cross is A, and then square is X. So yeah, to me they're just synonymous, and I'm finding I feel like I'm playing the game better than I did originally because of that. And so here's the thing about The Last of Us. While it's not a zombie game, it has that zombie style feel because of the clickers and the disease that's going on. But I also have to say that the way this game starts with the spores and the disease, and I feel like, wow, is this ever feel so on point to, especially with COVID going on right now. And I feel like this is I don't know how to describe it. What I was thinking the other day was you really see how a society can collapse based on what happened here in this beginning. And I kept thinking how, I don't know, just how much the beginning of this game fit with what went on in the early stages of 2020 with COVID, right? Yeah. And all the shutdowns that was what was the Ubisoft one? Division is the first Division game, and COVID. You're just looking at the parallels between how that game says this started and COVID, and you're like, man, they got it right as to how a virus is going to spread and affect and. Yep. The game looks great. It's the remastered version. It actually even back it was I don't know, when did this came out in 2013, so 7 years ago, and it had HDR in it. I don't know if it's 4K, but it's HDR because it asked me at the beginning, do I want to enable HDR? And unfortunately, the actual video that translated into my capture, which you're watching now, feels a lot different than what I'm viewing on my television. I find on my television, it's a little bit brighter, more vibrant,
like crisper colors and visuals, whereas I feel like it's almost washed out here with what I'm seeing here with what I've captured, because obviously the HDR doesn't come through on the capture.
Yeah, and yeah, you can sort of see that in this video. It doesn't look like even though this is like, you know, an amazing looking game, it doesn't look like as amazing looking game in the capture. But
right, and it's beautiful game though, and it's playing well, and I still haven't got to the part where I quit playing originally. I'm like, okay, I'm actually, I don't understand how I don't remember half of what I'm playing if I've already played it.
Well, you're old, Sean. Old people forget things.
I am old. I am definitely old. So anyway, The Last of Us Remastered, playing through that again because I kind of want to. I'm hoping I can get through it before The Last of Us 2 comes out, and I'm hoping we can review it here on the show next week once it launches. Even though, you know, I don't recall, I was never a fan of The Last of Us, and I think, and again, that's what surprised me with how much of the game I actually played. And yet I don't, I never felt the last 7 years as I was a fan of the game, and I never understood the huge following of the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's going to happen is you're going to play through the entire thing. You're never going to hit that spot, and then you're going to realize later, like, oh, that was a different game that had that truck bit in it, and it was something else that I was playing around the same time I was playing this, and I had that superimposed over it.
Wow, wouldn't that be something? Yeah. Man, I don't know. Well, I'll let you know how far I am to that spot. I think I actually feel like I'm close to it. There's a point where I got to. They're on their way to a friend's place, one of Joel's friends, and if I'm remembering correctly, they get to it, and his friend has been mutated, and that's sort of the boss that he has to fight. And then that's his truck they take. So I think I'm almost there now. But again, it was like, it's a lot further in the game than I ever remember playing, considering it was a PS3 game I was playing, which I hated playing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you also played a new game that came out recently.
I did. So Game Pass launched, I believe it was the 28th or 6th, or one of the days that started with 20th of last month. Minecraft Dungeons came out on Game Pass.
So this is a dungeon crawler basically in the Minecraft universe. Yeah,
so you're not asked to make anything, build anything, or any of that stuff in this, which is nice because I'm not a huge fan of building games. It is a top-down, I almost want to say Diablo-esque dungeon crawler. There are, you know, you've got your different weapons and stuff like that, and you can level them up with enchantments, and you find different loot in the different levels.
Enchantment?
Yeah, so like it's every time you level up, you get an enchantment, which allows you to attach that enchantment to your weapon, and that'll give you, like, you know, 10% extra damage or healing on contact and stuff like that.
Enchantment?
Enchantment! Dealing with a child. So yeah, it's basically a dungeon crawler built out of Minecraft blocks. I mean, it's the same as if they'd made a, you know, Lego dungeon.
Lego Diablo. Yeah, it's Minecraft Diablo is really what it is, right?
Yeah, it's fun. The levels are not horribly difficult. There's like 9 different level settings for each level that you can do. I believe there's about 10 levels on the Minecraft Dungeons base game. There's a seasons pass and stuff like that, so they're adding new islands of content as they go, and I think those will be paid for. So you get the first taste for free, and as part of Game Pass. Some
of the thoughts I've been seeing online was that it's it's a fairly standard dungeon crawler. It's more like an introduction to dungeon crawlers.
Yeah,
you know, because it's not
it's
hard.
Almost like what you'd expect if somebody took Minecraft and built a dungeon crawler in Minecraft and then said, "Hey, here, have a go at it."
Well, that's literally what they did, I think.
Yeah,
like this was
a
built
mod sort of thing.
Right. I mean, I guarantee you, this is literally built on Minecraft.
Oh yeah,
you know, Minecraft is the engine behind this. But yeah, I heard it's not difficult. You can play with friends, I believe, right? You can have a party up to 4 or something.
I believe so. I have not done that yet. I've just played the solo stuff so far. It's fun. It's one of those mindless games. Like it doesn't really. There's not a
it's
lot
Minecraft.
of context.
It's Minecraft, not mindless.
It's mindless craft. Craftless? No, there's craft. Yeah,
Craftless mind.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like it doesn't give you a ton of exposition. There's not a story. There's not cutscenes where it's like gives you like this big deep story as to why you're running around these things. It's just like, hey, here's a guy. Go to this spot and then touch this thing and then press this. And in this level, you're going to go and ring 6 bells for some reason. And in this one, you're going to rescue 12 villagers and then move on to the next area. Like it doesn't really give you a lot of exposition as to why you're doing it. You're just a guy running through a dungeon, killing a bunch of creatures, and then you get to the end of the dungeon, and then you go into the next one. So,
okay.
All of the different dungeons are like Star Wars planets. So you've got like
really
the creepy swamp. No, not
I
Star
got
Wars
you.
planets, but
I see
like
what you mean.
You've got the single biome, dungeon. Like this is the water dungeon, and this is the mine dungeon, and this one here is in a swamp, and this one here is in the desert.
Okay.
And it's many of the same enemies. There's the evoker is he's harder to kill, and he brings these stupid trap things that killed me before I realized what he was doing the one time. And you've got the Enderman, which is like a big tall slender man type one that disappears and shows up behind you again. It's a fun game if you don't want to have to think about what you're doing. I just run around and do it while I'm playing. One of my pet peeves though is even in single player, you can't pause your game.
What?
So I guess because they don't want, if people are playing in multiplayer, they don't want you to be able to pause it and cause everybody else have to wait, which I get.
True.
But if I'm playing offline mode and I want to hit start, and it'll pop up your menu, it'll hit start, but it doesn't pause the game. So if you're in the middle of a battle or something like that, you're gonna die.
That's crazy.
Because it doesn't really tell you it doesn't tell you. That happened to me at least once, where like I was playing and then I got a phone call, so I put it on pause and I turned it back on. It's like, you were dead.
You're dead.
Why did I die? So
you're not supposed to take phone calls. Stop taking phone calls, and you won't die.
Listen, sometimes you got to answer the phone. I'm just saying, it's fun. It's not groundbreaking by any means.
I don't even know what I'm trying to think was this necessary? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
It's another iteration of Minecraft. I believe this passed Minecraft itself for like the most popular thing on the Xbox.
Shut
store.
up! Seriously?
Yeah. So like everybody who played Minecraft has gotten into this. It is, and it's a good entry level for people who want to play Minecraft but aren't really good at building stuff themselves. So it gets you in and gets you used to the stuff. I can see people enjoying this. I wish they would have done more of a story with some cutscenes and stuff like that to add to the flavor of it, which may have made it more enjoyable if I felt like I'm on a mission to do this, and I may have felt it a bit more enjoyable than just finish this one, go to the next one.
This here just kind of aimlessly going level to level, right?
You're just going level to level. There's a little marker, just off the side of the map says, "Oh, you're going this way to get to your next objective."
Story doesn't always equate to a better game, though, because look at the dungeon crawler Darksiders Genesis, right?
Yeah, I know, but think about how bad that would have been without any story.
Yeah, but what was even the story? It still had a story, but do you even know what it was? Well,
I do, because I played the old one, so I know the original story, and
this
followed along that.
Yeah, but that's not the original story. This is a new story.
Yeah, it's along the same level of that. I'm just saying, like the Lego games are very similar to this, and it's just run around level to level and collect a bunch of things. But I feel that the Lego games, I feel more involved and more engaged with the Lego games, because they're tied to a movie that I like, or they're tied to a story that I like.
Right.
And I'm doing the same thing. I'm running around punching things, building things, and doing that. But this, I'm doing basically the same thing you do in a Lego game, with the exception of not actually physically building the stuff, but just running around level to level. But I don't feel engaged with it.
Fair enough. So, do you recommend it though? If you don't, have Game Pass.
If you don't have Game Pass, I would not say that this is valued. I think it's like $34 or something like that. I would not spend $34 on this if I did not have Game Pass.
Unless you're a huge Minecraft fan.
Unless you're like, if you're like just do nothing but play Minecraft. I know there are people that do that. If Minecraft is your thing, then you may very well really enjoy this. Probably
right.
not my cup of tea.
All right, fair enough. So that's all we've been playing this week. My eyes are watering like crazy. My apologies. So going back to kind of what's going on in the world this week, Sony was supposed to have their PS5 launch thing yesterday.
Yes.
Right. And we were kind of hoping that this week we'd like, oh, great, we're going to have
we'd have some great news and a bunch of Sony announcements to talk about.
Yeah. But it was postponed due to the Black Lives Matter movement and everything going on in the world in the protests. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I understand their point of view. Like, let's not detract from what's going on. There are much more important things to be doing this week, especially right now. Not just this week, obviously. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's so easy to say the wrong thing. And I agree with them. I don't mind. They haven't announced when it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
But here's what really irks me. I went and I followed the article, and I found their announcement on Twitter saying, "Hey, it's been postponed. There's more important things to focus on right now."
Yeah.
And there are so many people saying, well, that's just the last straw. Goodbye, Sony, blah, blah, blah. Like, are you serious right now?
And we know that the internet is full of trolls at some point. Anytime you say anything, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Somebody is going to have something to say about it in a negative way. If Sony donates $1 million towards a cause, why wasn't it $2 million?
Right.
I know Microsoft responded to Sony's cancellation with a tweet back, tagging that, saying that they stand with them and support them in that decision.
Yeah. So did EA. Both EA and Google had things to announce, and they've also postponed.
Yeah, it's not the time to do this. And I've seen people who have made statements along the lines, well, I'll be taking my business elsewhere and stuff like that. I know a lot of people post stuff like that because they want the reaction.
Stupid.
And which is, I don't know, it is hard to look at social media these days and see
it is hard,
misplaced anger and hate and stuff that's out there, and it's hard to watch.
Because it's anonymous.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's really not. But there is a lot of stupidity out there. So let's move on to happier news, really. Kingdoms of Amalur. One of the games, actually, I was playing when this show started, back in 2012. I was finishing up that, literally during... If I go back to episode 1, I still have the show notes from episode 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Every show, I think there might be a couple of episodes there was no show notes from the early days within from 1 to 10. But episode 1, I guarantee you, if I went back to the notes, I'm pretty sure episode 1 said Kingdoms of Amalur as what I've been playing. So recently there was a leak in the Xbox store for Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, which is the Re-Reckoning.
Re-Reckoning,
which is the remaster, and everyone got like, whoa. And then of course the studio said, oops, okay, yes, it's real. So instead of trying to hide it, they're like, yes, it's coming August. Originally all the leaks said August 11th. Apparently that was a mistake. It's actually August 18th.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Tico, this may surprise you, I'm excited about this remaster.
I know you mentioned that, and I messaged you about it because I always message you whenever a remaster.
Of course, you love the remasters
because I love the remasters, and you're like, I'm actually excited about this one. I'm like, what? Sean's excited for a remaster? This is actually one of my favorite games. I absolutely loved this game. It was meant to be the start of a new IP, like a new franchise. They actually had gotten part of the way into building basically an MMO in this universe before the studio shut down. So the studio that originally had this was 3-8 Studios.
Yep. 38,
And,
38 Studios. Of course,
yeah,
everyone
38
remember that. See, because that was the big news back when the show started. Was, all the stuff going on with 38 Studios, or at least shortly after, anyway. I'm going to see how long my thing is, because I want to grab my... I'm walking away from my mic, sorry.
Yeah.
I want to grab my box. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Keep talking.
So, well, I don't know why I'm going to talk. I need you to respond to my talking. This is a really silly thing that I'm waiting for you to come back now. This is the greatest radio in the world, people.
You don't know how to talk without me responding?
No, but I know how to speak, but I was going to speak about the 38 studios. This was Kurt Schilling was involved with the studio. The studio itself had taken a grant from the city of Rhode Island and never paid it back. And so when they failed, the city of Rhode Island took the studio and the IP back, and it was auctioned off to THQ.
So I wanted to show, this is one game I will never get rid of, because that's R.A. Salvatore, who is one of the writers of the game, signed both the cover and the disc for me.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, R.A. Salvatore is a very well-known
author,
fantasy author who created this entire universe for
That's right. So I had the distinct pleasure of being able to sit down at a private event at one of the PAX Easts that I went to. I don't even remember if it was 2013, what year it was, but I met R.A. Salvatore, sat down, and we literally just... It was a small group of maybe 10 to 15 media folks that were invited to this very small gathering, and R.A. Salvatore was there, and you got to just sit and chat with him, and I must have spent like 30 minutes just sitting in a nice comfy chair with R.A. And just talking about all his stuff, and they were giving away... one of the swags that you got was book number 1 of a new series he had written back then, and I've got the book signed as well. So that was I will never forget. That's probably one of the best media parties I had the privilege of going to. So this is a game I will never get rid of because of R.A. Salvatore. And you and I were talking about playing Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, because I loved the game too. I finished it. I remember starting the DLC from it, and I'm pretty sure I did not finish the DLC though, probably because other things came out. But here's the weird thing: you were like, I think I've got like 1 achievement left to go. I'm like,
it turns out I have 6.
Okay, but still, you got pretty far in it, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even remember what achievements I have left, and I went back to my achievement list, and I'm like, what is going on with this achievement? It looks like I never played the game. Because there's stupid things like kill 50 thugs. I'm like...
The most common enemy in the game.
How do I not have an achievement for killing 50 thugs in a game I finished?
Yeah. Open your inventory or something like that.
No.
Was it craft something?
There was crafting stuff too. Yeah. I'm like, I don't get it, because I know I finished the game because I love this game.
Yeah,
I don't understand how almost, just less than half the achievements are not unlocked.
Yeah, the new upgrade, the visuals look fantastic on this. This was Todd McFarlane did the creature design as well.
Yeah.
It was a huge undertaking, and I remember being really excited about this universe even when they talked. I can't remember what the MMO was called. They had a name for it.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember that. You're right.
And like they had this thing planned, and then I remember like all of the troubles they went through in here. It was like, oh well, they're not going to be making another one of these, and I was very disappointed about this. I'm happy that they've got this, and I hope that somebody takes because THQ bought both this game, this game, as well as the unfinished MMO, and I'm hoping maybe that we might see a number 2 get announced at some point.
Project Copernicus was the MMO. So the MMO itself was not named, but it was under the name Project Copernicus.
Yeah,
they were working on. But I because that's the first thing I said to you when this and that was announced. Like Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, I said, could a sequel be far behind? And I'm really hoping that's what this means.
I hope it is. I know THQ has not done a ton of that with the properties that they've bought to remaster, where we've seen sequels
Yeah,
or new stuff.
they're
But I
trying to
hope,
cash in on the IPs they bought by doing remasters, but that's it. I
yeah,
would love to see them bring someone in and continue in this world.
yeah, it would be really cool to see. I don't care either way. On the 18th, I'm getting this one, and
Oh, yes.
I'm just gonna grind through it. I am gonna go for all of the achievements again. I'm actually very tempted. It is a backwards compatible title, and I have my disc still sitting there. I am very tempted to pop this back in and
Yes.
maybe even and run through and try to finish off the missing 6 achievements I've got
Well,
as is.
I've got to find my memory card. All my saved games are on a memory card for my 360,
Yeah.
but my 360 is upstairs in Sydney's room right now. So I'm tempted to just run upstairs with the disc, throw my memory card in, load up my profile,
See if those pop for you.
and see why the heck I don't have these achievements, because I know I started the DLC, and that DLC takes place after the main campaign.
Yeah. So it's possible maybe you played offline or something like that. If you weren't really that focused on achievements, maybe you played it offline and just never popped them.
I don't know, honestly, but I'll pop it into Sydney's room and see what's going on with it, because I was surprised at the number of achievements I didn't have, and a lot of them are like secret achievements too, which
Yeah.
to me are like story elements.
That's story based. And if I finish the story,
How did I not pop them?
how did I not get that? Yeah.
Right. I don't understand. It's like maybe it's another case of The Last of Us. Maybe I thought I played it and I didn't.
You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna pop it in, and there's gonna be a thing with a truck.
Oh, the cutscene is going to be me pushing out of the truck and realizing that's the game I didn't
it's a
finish.
King of Amalur cutscene that you've
Right.
forgotten about.
Right, pushing a pickup truck. Oh man. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the game talk this week. There is a few TV stuff we want to talk about. TV stuff. That's my English is just.
It's
Let's
bad.
talk about a few TV stuff, Tico.
TV stuff and movie stuff, but no, there's no movie stuff. But we'll talk the TV stuff part of the movie stuff.
Last week, I believe it was Friday, May 29th, on
It was.
Netflix. Steve Carell's new show, Space Force, came out
Yep.
on Netflix, for all 10 episodes. And you and I were looking forward to this back when it
Very
announced. You know,
Yeah, with Steve Carell,
And
the
Jeff
creators of
Daniels.
The Office.
Jeff Daniels, is that right?
No.
What?
I don't know what it is. It's not Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels is the other guy.
Greg Daniels.
Greg Daniels. That sounds better.
Okay. Anyway, I'm thinking, oh, great, it's going to be, and it was supposed to be, they described it like almost a year ago now as basically the Space Force that Trump announced as the new agency, the new military agency. It was supposed to be about them figuring out what the agency is exactly.
Yeah.
It didn't really turn out to be that, but we also speculated it was going to be another Office style show.
Yes.
You know, like cameras interviewing people, that sort of style, which I love. I love that style. It's not that at all. And if I'm being completely honest, I was extremely disappointed in this show and did not really find it all that funny, to be honest with you. Like,
So they had moments of hilarity. There were some moments that were very, very funny. Episode 2 or 3 where he's trying to figure out how to get the chimp and the dog to work together to reattach arms onto a satellite in space. I found that whole bit very, very funny. But for the most part, in a 10 episode thing, there was a lot of stuff that I was just like, well, it's not what I'm expecting. It's not what I would want out of this, and it's not nearly as funny.
it's not, I didn't find it really that funny at all.
They made the character way too sympathetic, in my opinion. Like they wanted to paint him as
He's talking to Steve Carell's character?
Steve Carell's character as a very sympathetic character, and it instead of coming across as funny a lot of the time, it came across as sad, and you felt like more that it was closer to a drama at times than a comedy.
Well, it was. It really felt more like a dramedy than an Office style comedy. It certainly is not. It is not an Office style comedy. There is a lot of drama in it, and the one thing he does is what he does well is goes from drama to comedy very well. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, there was a lot of drama in this, but not serious drama. That's the weird thing about it. It's they were really towing the line on like political satire. That's I think that's really what this was. This was quite literally meant to be a political satire.
Yeah. And whether or not it has legs, some of the things I didn't like, this is spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it. So you have 3 seconds to stop listening, plug your ears, and now I'm going to talk about it. All right. The bit with his wife, they start off with him getting announced as the new head of Space Force, and he's with his family, and everybody's happy. And then it's cut to a year later, and his wife, for some reason, is in prison.
Yeah, we're talking within the first 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
He's the first thing that happens really is the ceremony. He's becoming a 5-star general.
Four.
Is that the highest?
That's the highest.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was 5. 4-star general, whatever the highest is. And yeah, loving wife, loving daughter, very happy. Wife's all happy about going to getting a step up in life, essentially, right? And then he finds out he's going to be in charge of Space Force, and they have to go to Colorado.
Yeah.
And she basically breaks down crying because they found out she's going to Colorado.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, 1 year later, like you said,
1 year later,
and she's in prison, and they never tell you why.
They never tell you why. And there was actually an interview that was done, and they said, well, we wanted this to be, a funny. We thought it would be funny if she was in prison, and he had to figure out how to raise his daughter on his own. And stuff like that.
It wasn't funny at all.
And the thing is, it didn't make it funny. He never really raised his daughter until like the last episode. There's not really anything where he changed what he was doing to deal with that fact. They don't tell you what's going on, and it was sort of indicated that like they thought this was funny, where there's a secret from the audience they don't know. In The Office with the Scranton Strangler, where nobody knows who it is, but everybody speculates that it's Toby the entire time, but like they never tell you what it is. But the problem with that is that the characters in the show also don't know who it is, and so we're living the same misinformation that they have.
Right, exactly.
In the show, everybody knows why she's in prison, and it's just a whole thing where we're just not going to tell the audience who's going to be kept out of the loop on this.
But here's the thing too, though. Story-wise, to me, and of course I'm not a television writer, but as an audience member, that whole part of the story doesn't even add anything to it. It doesn't do anything for me as an audience member that's even a thing. Because in my opinion, it adds nothing to Space Force.
Yeah, it would have had they made his relationship with his daughter a more important part of it, and actually made him trying to balance taking care of his daughter and dealing with the troubles of Space Force. But they never did that. They just had his daughter, who's messed up from all this,
essentially on her own,
and him not dealing with her ever.
Yeah.
And just dealing with the Space Force stuff. It does make it a funnier thing if it's a fish out of water dad situation trying to deal with stuff.
Yes.
If he's actually trying to deal with the daughter, but he never deals with the daughter until the last episode.
Here, I thought, and you and I discussed this offline, but I thought personally that, why do I always say personally? It's my show. Of course it's personally.
Everything
anyway,
you say is personally.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I thought it would have been funnier because it showed Lisa Kudrow's character, the wife, as being extremely upset they were moving to Colorado. I thought it would have been more funny to see her even at home. Almost maybe she's a drunk. Maybe she's just, I don't care about anything. I'm not doing anything. Maybe she's maybe she's put in charge of like the military wives thing, if that's a thing anymore. And maybe she doesn't care about it. So it's all these goofy, funny things happen with her just flailing to be this military wife. You know what I'm saying?
Like half-assing that whole process.
Exactly. Right.
That would have been funnier.
That would have been funnier.
We need you to run. You need to, the Joint Chiefs, spouses are coming to the base. We need you to run a thing, and she runs something along the lines of the launch party from The Office, like that. Where like the half-ass balloons when Dwight and Jim were trying to run.
That would have been more humorous. That would have been so
funnier.
much better.
We should be writing for these shows because we know what's funny. I'm just saying.
It just and then I'm not going to spoil the final episode. I'm not going to spoil the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But I hated how it ended. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah, it does not give you any sense of closure. They have not been renewed for season 2 yet. I am a big proponent if you don't know if you're being renewed for sure. If you're not filming episodes for the next season already, then maybe don't make a
cliffhanger.
Don't make a giant cliffhanger that you don't finish I don't mind a cliffhanger. Like, finish your story arc, start a new one, cliffhanger, fine. But not a cliffhanger on the original story arc.
Well, here's the thing about the cliffhanger. Based on the story itself of Space Force, which has to continue, you're right. Mark Naird, which is Stephen Carell's character, has to continue in the role he's in.
Yeah.
Period. That's the story. There is only one way for that cliffhanger to end. If you really think about the way, and you and I can discuss it offline, but based on the premise of the show, there is only one path to correct that cliffhanger. It's not. It's not even a cliffhanger.
Yeah, like, he has to go back. Otherwise, it's not Space Force. It's them on the run.
Well, now we've just kind of ruined the ending. But okay.
Oh well, I said spoilers. So anybody who had taken
But
their
no,
fingers
you're
out
right.
of their ears, it's their own fault.
There is only one resolution in order to continue season 2.
Yeah.
And so why make that a cliffhanger at all? I hated it.
Yeah, I was not a fan of anything. The only thing that the ending did was he finally stepped up to take care of his daughter and put her first.
Yes.
That was the only thing that came out of that ending, but you didn't get to see any of the results from that because that was like the very last thing that happened at the end. So you don't know what's happening with any of the other stuff.
Yeah. Very disappointing.
Yeah,
I hope it has. I'm going to be honest. Okay, I will watch a season 2.
Yeah,
because this show at least was better than Avenue 5.
Yes,
but I wouldn't put it a whole lot better than Avenue 5.
Yeah, there were, like I said, there were funny bits. There were some parts where I laughed. There was, like, again, the chimp in space part. Shannon squirted soda out her nose at that part, like that.
I think I laughed out loud once, and I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, like that. That's the thing. There were not a ton of absolutely hilarious moments. A lot of it did feel, because again, the characters were not built out very well.
No, they're not even lovable characters.
No, like none of them were likable. Had he been, trying to run Space Force and dealing with, trying to, balance that with like the work-life balance sort of thing, then maybe he becomes a more sympathetic character.
Yeah.
But
we should. Yeah. No, I agree. I think we've said most of it already.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. So let's move on. But you finally have been continuing with Tales from the Loop, which I spoke of a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
How are you? How far into it are you now?
So I'm only up to episode 4. I think
so you still got a ways to go.
How many episodes are there? 10?
8. I believe there's 8. 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got so 8. So I'm almost halfway through. I found the first one very, very dry.
A lot of them are dry. Give me honest with you.
Yeah.
The show itself is dry and a little bit slow going, but that's kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's that's what makes the show great, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I'm enjoying, and having watched a couple more now, I've gotten used to the pacing. I've gotten used to how they're telling the stories, and now I'm feeling that it's part of that one big encompassing story now that I've seen more than one episode, and I'm really enjoying that. So.
Yeah. What I really liked, and tell me if you enjoyed it too, was I liked how one episode sets up like tertiary characters, and then suddenly those tertiary characters are the main character in the next episode.
Yeah,
right?
like I like that. You see, and you see that guy in the background, and then they all of a sudden there's a whole episode just about that guy that they walk past all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. I loved that aspect of it. It's literally a story about this town where the loop exists, and it's not. There are characters that are weaved through the entire story, right? Everything kind of surrounding this one main family.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stories take place elsewhere in the town as well. And I really enjoyed that. But they all fit together, right?
Yeah.
Every episode fits into this overarching story.
Yeah, and I love that it's got this very surreal sense of the future and the past at the same time.
It's what I describe as a 1970s future.
It feels more like 1950s, sort of. Like, it feels like almost like Soviet at times with the bleakness and blandness of everything.
Well, it's taking place in the late 70s, early 80s, right? But I feel like it's sort of like their version of what the future looks like. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by a 70s future, because it takes place in the 70s, but it's also the technology and the future stuff is very grounded in 1970s style future.
Yeah, it's like a 70s steampunk almost.
Sure, but it feels real to me, like the kind of the future you would have seen in movies in the 70s. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the show. It's definitely worth watching. You got to continue with it because it even ends phenomenally, and I really hope there's more.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish that this week. I also finished off the Amazing Stories, the new season of Amazing Stories, which was
really enjoyed that. I'm really disappointed. There's only 5 episodes.
Yeah, I got to episode 5. It's like, wait a second, why is there only 5 episodes?
I don't think all the episodes were great, but I'd say the majority of them were. They
were all really interesting, and I really enjoy that style of storytelling. Yeah. So I enjoyed them all, and yeah, I hope we get another season of that. I enjoy these anthology
me too
sort of setups like this.
Twilight Zone comes back soon.
I know they're doing another season of Love, Death, and Robots.
Yes, if you have not seen that on Netflix, you owe it to yourself to watch it.
That is fantastic. There's like 20 episodes in that or something.
15 16, 18, something like that. It's all
it's more than 8.
Oh yeah, it's more than 8. Yeah, it's all cartoon. It's
animated, not cartoon.
Well, animated. It's all animated. Well, a lot of them are cartoon animated, but you're right. It's CGI, and some of the CGI. I think there's one episode with
live action.
Live action. Is that the Elijah Woods one?
That's not Elijah Woods. It's the Topher Grace.
Topher Grace, thank you. The Freezer episode, right?
Yeah.
Where there's actual live action, but they're all short. Like, aren't they like 10, 15 minutes long each?
Oh, no. And I'm actually just pulling it up right now.
I thought they were all really short. They weren't full half hour each, were they?
So there's 18 episodes, and I'm just trying to get the timing on them. Episode 1. Yeah, so episode 1 is 17. So they're between I think they were between 25 minutes.
I even thought most of them were less than that. Like, there were some that are 7 minutes long.
Oh yeah, I know that. So between 10 and 20 minutes.
Yeah. Great show. I mean, I binge watched that. I think I finished it in 2, maybe 3 days.
I thought there was only 8 episodes of that. I binge watched the 8 episodes, and I'm like, oh, I've gotten to the end of that, and then found out it's like, oh, what? There's another 10 episodes.
There's another. Yeah, exactly. It was great. I've been actually going back because my wife and I think I mentioned it a while back. My wife and I have been watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? And we actually binge watched. I call it binging because we watch it like every night, 2, 3, 4 episodes. We watched the original from 1990. I want to say 1996 it started with Drew Carey. Yeah. And we watched it all the way through all 9 or 8 seasons of that. And then it came back again in 2013 with Aisha Tyler hosting. And it's still Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, and Ryan Stiles, plus the
whatever
guest
random guy they get.
Yeah, which is, I mean, there's Greg Proops, there's Brad Sherwood, and those are like the 2 main guests every week.
So those are the two guys from the original British show.
So is Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery.
So is Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, yeah.
So they're still coming back now.
Yeah.
But what's funny is it got me interested in watching the Drew Carey Show, which was airing obviously at the same time way back in the late 90s. Yeah. And so I went back, started watching the Drew Carey Show, and now season 5 of the Drew Carey Show, there was an episode called Drew Live. And it was quite literally a crossover between the Drew Carey Show and Whose Line Is It Anyway? They filmed a live episode of the Drew Carey Show, had Brad Sherwood host the show, and come in every now and again and mix things up.
I remember that.
And actually give them, here's your situation, and they have to act out the situation just like you would on Whose Line. And
if I recall correctly, I think they had to do it. They did it twice for the two different time zones.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they did that twice. I know 30 Rock did a similar thing where they did a live show and they performed it live twice. So so they did it at the whatever for the LA where whoever hits first, and then had to do the same show a second time.
So and there was times when Brad Sherwood would ding a bell, and whatever line whoever said last, they'd have to repeat the line but change it, which is one of the games from Whose Line. So they essentially took Whose Line games and threw it into the Drew Carey Show live. And they even had Wayne Brady and Colin Mockery and Laura Hall, who is their pianist, play, because there was two songs, because Wayne Brady usually does these ad-lib songs. Yeah. Twice they had Wayne do songs ad-lib. One of them was with Mimi, one of the characters. They actually did an ad-lib song live. But what's awesome about it was a lot of the show was still scripted. A lot of it was ad-lib, but there was still telling a story throughout this live episode.
Yeah, so they had a story that they had to get out with those distractions.
Right. It was actually really well done as a live show, and as a fan of Whose Line, it was awesome seeing those two shows literally mashed together. It was so cool. And I had no idea they had ever done it, because I never watched the show back when it was on. I mean, even back when Whose Line was on, it was just one of those shows I might catch when it was on. Right? I loved it every time I watched it, but it wasn't something I waited for or recorded.
Yeah.
I just, flipping the channels, if it was on, I would stop and watch.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed that.
I loved that show. And it's still on now. Like, we're on season 12, I think, now. And they're filming episode, or they already filmed season 16, right? Which is airing now. So that, I enjoy that. What are you looking at there, Tico?
Nothing.
Looking at your phone again?
No.
Not that you would ever do that on our show.
Never.
Tico would never stop paying attention to what I'm saying. Listen. The guy listen. No. You complain about me turning my back to get a disc, and you stop talking because I
didn't stop talking. I continued to talk.
I can't talk without you responding.
But the difference is you don't need me here.
Oh.
You could run the show without me. I can't do that without you.
I don't think so, Tico. I need you, Tico. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Yeah. All right, fine. That's now
I said it.
All right, now let's talk about news.
All right. Do you remember about 2 months ago we talked about the new era of Star Wars novels taking place 400 years before A New Hope, called the High Republic, I believe it's called. Novels were supposed to start somewhere around August this year, and I was excited about that. Like new Star Wars stories in a whole new era. I mean, that's cool. You know, I kind of hope it's not just novels. I'd love to see the next trilogy of movies take place in that time. That would be cool.
Series, comic books, animated series, web shorts, anything really is great. I mean,
I would love to see all of this stuff shift away from the trilogy of trilogies. Into a new era, so it doesn't feel like you have to fit everything into what's already been established in this era. I'm talking about you don't feel like you have to fit everything into this 40-year gap, right? Of Star Wars. See what I did there? I actually covered my whole window there. That's the 40 years. And I want to see them move to a different era. Start new storytelling. Don't feel like you have to show us the ancestors of characters we already know, or fit it into the stories that have already happened.
Yeah, we don't need stuff that ties into the existing canon. Let's create some new stuff, like brand new.
Except the
whatever you
Mandalorian.
want.
Except the Mandalorian, that has to continue because it's
Well,
awesome.
no, but that's already in there. But I'm saying like create some new stuff. Like
Yeah.
like go way back, or go super far in the future where like we don't have to worry about hearing how like the Emperor's coming back for the
Right.
19th 20th time or whatever.
Well, you can't go way in the future because then it would just be now.
Okay, keep going then. Keep past.
But yeah, no, the High Republic, 400 years in the past. I think it kind of tells the story of basically there was peace in the galaxy with the Jedis were actual peacekeepers.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like the beginning of, I think, the rise of the Sith, if I'm not mistaken. And that's kind of cool. It introduces where the Sith came from, maybe, and how they kind of start infiltrating the Jedi Order and some of there's fallen Jedi and stuff. That, it'd be interesting to see that. But having said all that, it's been delayed. It's not coming until 2021 now.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is being delayed till 2021. It's sad because we're not in 2021. Every time I see one of these news stories about something, it's like, oh, this has been delayed till 2021. I'm like, but we're only in 2020 now.
Yeah. How much more in the future do we have to go? 2020 is already the future.
Yeah, like 2020 already seems far enough away. And to be honest with you, I'm done with 2020. Let's move on. Let's get to the next stuff now.
Yeah. Our final little bit of news actually has to do with AMC and the future of movie theaters. And AMC is starting to fear the worst in the future of movie theaters. And I'm thinking we all saw it coming. They're hoping to be able to open the theaters in July or even early August. And I still feel like that's way too soon. Some of the stuff they want to do is like have $5 tickets, and even like some theaters are saying we're going to sell tickets for $5 and not even require masks, to try to get more people in. And I'm thinking, why would anyone want to?
People are going to feel very uncomfortable. We've said this before. They're going to feel very uncomfortable going in. The theaters themselves are going to lose about half of the space that they have available. They are not going to have any big blockbusters that are currently getting made. So like, even if the stuff that's being held back right now that's ready to go, they're going to have 5-6 months of stuff and then nothing from a production value of what's going to be able to show in the theater.
The stuff that's been delayed even now, like Mulan was delayed until the end of July, and I think that's still too soon.
They're actually, I did read recently that Disney and in some fashion are having talks about whether or not they are going to skip the theater experience
completely
with Mulan.
Wow.
and put it straight onto Disney Plus or VOD.
What about are they still stuck on August for New Mutants then?
New Mutants is a different story.
Oh, right.
Because that was acquired with the purchase of Fox. So there are some things that would have to happen in order for them to be able to do that. There's a lot of back-end bonuses apparently tied to the theater release of that movie.
And isn't that movie tied to Hulu somehow as well? Didn't you mention that to me offline?
Yeah, Hulu, I think, is who is getting the I think that's what it is. Hulu is receiving the theater profits from that movie. So even though Disney owns the movie and is putting it out, Hulu gets the theater profit. So Hulu, if they skip the theater, Hulu gets nothing out of it. So Hulu would have to sign off on that. In addition to a number of the actors have back-end deals for the box office. They have points on the box office as opposed to straight,
right?
Like here's $1 million to do the movie. They have here's 500,000 and you get 2 points of the gross.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go. They need that to have a box office.
I was reading recently about the New Mutants as well that they still hope, and I'm thinking there's no way, they still have hope that the New Mutants can still be a trilogy, which it was originally planned to be. And I'm like, no, it's
a horror movie.
It's
in the Marvel universe.
Damaged. The image of the New Mutants has been damaged so much. There's no way they're going to get a trilogy out of it.
I mean, and if they do, it'll be like the first one will have the budget that it had, and the next one will be like, well, we're not giving you, we're going to give you like maybe a tenth of the budget, so figure out how to make it with that, and it's going to be new. It's going to be one of those ones where the first movie, and then the next ones are going to have brand new actors. And
well, think about this for a second. This was filmed almost 5 years ago now, with Maisie Williams, who was, I want to say, like 16 at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to bring her back and she's, 6-7 years older now? Like, that's not even going to make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can do a lot of stuff with digital.
You're going to digitize Maisie Williams just because she's 7 years older? But that's the point, right? She was a teenager when they filmed it, and they bring her back, she's an adult. And it's not even like... Okay, well, it's the same character, but...
They could do the next movie with a huge time jump in between.
True. I could. I get. I don't even know what the story is, so maybe? Who knows? Yeah. Maybe they can't. Maybe the way they leave it, that maybe a time jump wouldn't work.
Here's what I say. Put the first movie out and see if people like it, and then make a decision. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But either way, so theaters are going to have some problems. In Ontario, they have cleared for drive-in movies to reopen.
Well, see, that's okay because you're in your car.
But they still have requirements for spacing of the cars and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
The local one that we have here, Starlight Drive-In, is not opening yet because the restrictions are cutting down the number of cars they can get in, as well as they are not allowed to open their concession stand.
What?
With the current restrictions, because it doesn't adhere to the social distancing or something like that.
Wait, am I wrong, but did I not remember that Starlight's concession stand had an outdoor window?
It was a whole walkthrough thing.
It was a kitchen style walkthrough. Okay.
Kitchen style walkthrough. They can obviously make adjustments, but the province isn't allowing to do this. So they've basically said, we don't make enough money on the showing of movies here.
Well, you know what they could do?
Operate would they'd lose money. I think that they're working on building an app, so everything will be done offline. So you'll park your spot in spot G1,
and you'll order your food.
And you'll order like you're ordering, DoorDash or Uber Eats to your car.
Yeah, someone brings it out.
Card, somebody brings you a bag of stuff right.
I was just going to say that all they need to do is have servers going around to the cars taking orders, but in this case
not taking orders. You just do it all on an app.
Exactly. I was just going to say that now that they've got I didn't think of doing it on an app. I just said all they need is someone to take orders. In this case, it's an app to take orders, and they deliver it to the car, which is great. That works.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. I love
the drive-in.
They make money off of their food. They don't make the movies as a loss leader for movie theaters for anywhere showing movies. They don't make money off showing a movie. They make money off of charging you $9 for a 10-cent bag of popcorn.
Exactly.
That's where the money is.
That is where the money is, but the money is certainly not here. So I quit. That's the end of the show.
That's it? Just like that, eh?
Just it.
Just like that.
Just like that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week. You can follow the show on Twitter at the OMG Hour. I, of course, am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane, and that is XIANTAYNE.
You can follow me at Mr. Second Place.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for watching, and we will be back again next week.
Hey, guys.